Nithin B'Chavut Asanya. We start off with the honor of the guest of the hosts. I want to thank you for hosting me, especially my dear brother, the Rabbanit, and my mother, because without my mother I wouldn't be here. And not just literally not be here in the world, but also be here right now, because I came to see her, and then I understand I was a guest speaker, so everything worked out, I guess. So hopefully it'll be a good speech and everyone will enjoy and go home excited. So let's start off with some stories. So the first story is a true story. The three philosophers from Cambridge University. And they were standing at a train station and they were discussing some very deep philosophical ideas. And also they didn't notice the train came, and then there's an announcement that the train is leaving. So they all run for the train. And two of them get on the train. And the older gentleman, he didn't have time to catch the train, so he missed the train. He missed the train. And then he says to himself, he says, but those two came to see me off. So what happens sometimes when you involve this philosophy is you forget about what's going on in the real world. The same thing applies. Sometimes a person is immersed in halakha, and sometimes they can't see the big picture, what it's all about. So today, let's try and give you a little bit of a big picture of the big picture of Hanukkah. Or the small picture of Hanukkah, how you like the Hanukkah, what's going on, as my brother talked a bit about philosophy of Hanukkah, the light versus darkness, basically. One of the reasons why I like the Rambam so much is because the Rambam looks at the big picture. Rambam is a big picture man. What does that mean? The Mishnah Torah starts off with the first halakha in the Mishnah Torah is Yisodei HaTorah. And what is the foundation of all foundations? As he says, is to know there is a creator. It's a mitzvah for us. It's interesting because in Sefer HaMitzvot he says, if you read the Hebrew today, it's le'amin. But in Yisodei HaTorah it says le'da. So one of the translators said there's a mistranslation in Sefer HaMitzvot. Sefer HaMitzvot was written in Arabic. And the Mishnah Torah was written in Hebrew. So the Mishnah Torah, we see the real mitzvah is not just to believe there's a God, but the higher level is to know there's Hashem. But that's know. Just like I don't believe there's a table over here. I know there's a table over there. To know there's Hashem. And the last halakha in the Rambam concerns Mashiach. Mashiach, kibbutz galiyot, mitaken olam, will be all lagoyim, and eventually the world will be at peace. There'll be no more anti-Semitism, and we have time to learn Torah. That's the Rambam's. He starts off with Hashem, he ends off with Mashiach. The Shulchan Aruch starts off with Hashkamat HaBoker, waking up in the morning, and then he ends off with funerals, the laws of Avilut. And you're there, at the end of you're there, he ends off with the laws of Avilut. So Shulchan Aruch talks about our life and span. Rambam talks about universal concepts. Hashem, Mashiach, what's going to happen to the world. Big things, big things. So it's interesting. Another difference is, Rambam writes, the introduction, which is very revolutionary, he says all you have to do is read the Tanakh and my book, and you have the whole Torah. He says you don't have to read Mishnah, no Gemara, no nothing. Read Tanakh and my book, you got the whole Torah. And that's where the Rabbi comes along and he says, oh, this person, he's very Gava, Baal Gava, read his book and that's it, that's the whole Torah. So the question is, why does the Rambam have to introduce the halachot of Hanukkah with the story of Hanukkah, the history of Hanukkah? You look up Shulchan Aruch, it doesn't tell you anything about the history of Hanukkah. The Rambam especially, he talks about the history also. If you look at the laws of Yisodei HaTorah again, you'll find the story of Abraham Avinu. Abraham Avinu, at the age of 3, learns about Hashem. At the age of 40, he started with 3. He says, starts at 3, the Midrash says 3 and 40. So Rambam says, he started at 3 and ends at 40 with true knowledge of Hashem at the age of 40. His real knowledge of Hashem came at the age of 40. But he brings the Midrash, the story of what's going on. He brings you stories, not just bringing you halachot, he brings you stories as well. The background of Hanukkah. What's so important about the background of Hanukkah? So there's two different answers I saw. Rav Soloveitchik says, interesting answer. He says, because Harambam told you, I'm giving you the whole Torah from read Tanakh and read my book. There's nothing in Tanakh about Hanukkah. So Rambam has to fill in the gaps. So he says he fills in the gaps. The second reason, the pshat is, he's talking about Persuei Nitzah. If you don't know what the miracle is, how can you advertise the miracle? So he has to give you the background information to advertise the miracle. So let's talk a little bit about background information, because we have to realize there were two Sefarim written about Hanukkah, which are not part of the Torah. They're called Sefer Maccabim Aleph and Sefer Maccabim Bet. They're not part of the Torah. Interesting, the Catholics made it part of their Torah. In their Tanakh, they have our Tanakh, we skip it out. So the question is, why do we skip it out? Number two question is, how come the Mishnah? There's no Mishnah on Hanukkah. There's a Mishnah, by the way, in Bava Kama, which talks about the camel with the straw, right? It passes through, remember, passes by the Hanut, the store, and the straw catches fire. So it depends if the straw went inside or outside. It says on Hanukkah, who says? Rabbi Yehuda. It says on Hanukkah, even if the candles of the store was outside, the owner of the store is patur. Why? Because it's Hanukkah, you have to put your candles outside. So that's the only thing. By the way, the Mishnah brings down Hanukkah. There's nothing solid in the Mishnah about Hanukkah. Why not? The Mishnah was written after Hanukkah. When did Hanukkah happen? 2,200 years ago. And the Mishnah was written about 1,900 years ago. 300 years they had, and the Mishnah doesn't talk about Hanukkah. How many dapim in Gemara is there about Hanukkah? 2, 3. Shabbat, Kaf Aleph, the Kaf Gimel. 3 dapim about Hanukkah, that's it. How many dapim about Megillah? Is the whole second. So why is Hanukkah hardly mentioned? There's a couple of answers. One answer is a very sad answer. Very, very sad answer. And that is the Hashmonaim themselves got corrupted. Amazing. Think about this. This is a lesson for all of us. The first generation, Tzaddikim. Second generation, Tzaddikim. Third generation already, they become Greek. Hellenists. They started fighting against the Greeks. And they adopted the Greek customs. In fact, the Tzaddikim, which was started by the Kohanim, these Gedolim, the Kohen Gedolim, the descendants of, imagine, the descendants of Matityahu, they start being Sadducean. So, we know the rabbis had tremendous trouble with some of the Maccabi Hashmonaim kings. Yanai HaMelech. What does he do to the rabbis? They tried to bring him to court. They tried to bring Yanai HaMelech to court. His slave killed someone. They tried to judge Yanai HaMelech. What does Yanai HaMelech do? He brings all the soldiers, and he kills all the Beit Din. Destroys or wipes out all the Beit Din. There's no rabbis over there. One day he's having a Suda, the Gemara says. He's looking for someone to say Birkat Hamazon. Can't find. There's no one. No one knows Birkat Hamazon. Got to a state where no one knew Birkat Hamazon. So his wife said, if I find you a rabbi, promise me you won't kill him. Who is the rabbi? Shimon ben Shetach, who was her brother. She hid him. She hid her own brother, from her husband. So the Hashmonaim, they got corrupted. That's my theory. My theory is Hashmonaim got corrupted. The rabbis, they want to mention the victory of the war. To read Sefer Maccabim, it wasn't just one war with the Yevanim. It was 5 wars with the Yevanim. 5 big battles, getting bigger and bigger. The first army was 10,000, then 20,000, then 30,000, 40,000, until the end it was 100,000. The first 4 battles were miracles. Yudah Maccabi won every single battle, no problem, they all ran away. The last battle he lost. Interesting. He lost the last battle. He lost a lot of his soldiers. And what happened was, there's a message from Syria to come home. It's the army. There's a trouble in Syria. Come home. So the general didn't have to do it, but he made a peace treaty with Yehuda Maccabi. And he went back. So that was the biggest miracle. The miracle was, he lost the war, and he won. He got a peace treaty with the Greeks. The Rambam, he sums it up. By the way, if you look at the Ramban is very critical. On Chumash, Ramban, in Parashat Vayechi, he says the Hashmonaim, tremendous. They broke halakha. What halakha did they break? Lo yasur shevet Yehuda. Yaakov Avinu, before he dies, blesses Yehuda. Yehuda is going to be the king. All his descendants are going to be kings. So it says that these Maccabim, they broke this halakha, they became kings. They were Kohanim, they became kings as well. It's interesting, in Judaism there's a separation of powers. It's interesting because this was part of the British Constitution, part of the American Constitution, separation of powers. The difference is in America there's 3 separation of powers. Over here also 3, and over there in Jewish law there's 4 separation of powers. Who are they? There's the king, There's the priesthood, there's the shoftim, and there's the Navi. And the Navi can go from one to another and rebuke everyone. When we had Naviim, it was a very dangerous job. Navi had to go to the king, tell him off. It's very dangerous. Depends what kind of king. You had to go to the shofet, tell him off. You had to go to the kohanim, tell him off. Very hard. So anyway, separation of powers. Kohen is not allowed to be a king. Go ahead, so Shevim Yodah, they were kings. So what happened? It says, the whole Hashmonai, there's not a single Hashmonai left today. Rambam says, if a guy says he's a Hashmonai, he said it, he must be a slave. Why must he be a slave? Because the last of the Maccabim, they married Herod. Herod Yamach Shemo was he was an ex-slave. He became the king of Israel. He married one of the last Maccabee girls, Mariamne. And so therefore he was considered a slave. So if there's any Maccabees left today, there's sons of him, slaves. So there's slaves today. It's a terrible thing to say. So the Rambam, interesting, if you look at the first halakha of the Rambam, he ends off with something good to say about the Maccabees. He says however bad they were. He doesn't say that however bad they were, but he's insinuating however bad they were, they brought back the Meluchah to Israel for 200 years or more. Well, in 200 years we had a Malchut in Eretz Israel, which is a very big thing. Because when there's no Malchut in Eretz Israel, it's the biggest Chilul Hashem. There's no Malchut in Eretz Israel, it's the big Chilul Hashem. That's what Rambam writes at the end of, in the beginning of Hanuka. There's an interesting debate, because we are celebrating a Nes. On Hanukkah, it's interesting, the main mitzvah of Hanukkah is Pirsumei Nisa. Advertise miracles. Now, there's two ways to advertise miracles. Look at the laws of advertising. There's two ways. There's direct advertising and there's indirect advertising. I'm not big on advertising, but that's what I learned so far. There's direct advertising, indirect advertising. What is direct advertising? You advertise the product. You have the product in your store and advertise the product. Or there's an advertisement on the billboards. You see the product. That's good. It's very good advertising. It's very direct. And then there's indirect advertising, which is you don't see the product at all. You see the effects of the product. For example, there's a bank that's advertising. The bank is advertising itself, and you see a father coming home from work, and you see the child running to his father. And the father grabs the child and picks him up. And then they show you the bank advertisement. So in other words, it's suggesting there's security. The child is running to his father, the father is providing security, they see the name of the bank provides security. So it's indirect marketing. When we light the candles, are we doing direct advertising, indirect advertising? When you light your candles in your window, are you doing direct advertising, indirect advertising? Is it direct or indirect? The truth is you don't know what it's about. The guy who's seeing it, it's indirect, because he doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't know the miracle, he doesn't know what happened, he just sees candles, so he has to ask, what's all the lights about? And that's one of the most effective ways of advertising. We advertise miracles by lighting candles. Why candles? So obviously the miracle happened with candles. But there's deeper ideas, because the candle has many different meanings of the candle. Because we light candles on Shabbat, we light candles on Yom Tov, we light candles on Yartzeit, someone passes away, we light a candle. What is the significance of the candle? So there's a few significances. Number one is, what does the Bassous say? Ner mitzvah v'torah or. What does that mean? A candle is a mitzvah, and the Torah is a light. What does that mean? The candle can tell you what to do next, because you can only see one step ahead. A light, you can see everything. So Torah provides light which you can see from beginning to end. We learn Rambam, you can see from beginning to end. That's the Torah, the power of the Torah. We learn Shulchan Aruch, just one layer. See what the halakha is on the next step. What is the next step? There's another reference to candle, and that is Ner Elokim Nishmat Adam. What does that mean? What does that mean? Ner Elokim Nishmat Adam. It means that each one of us who have a neshama inside is a candle of Hashem. What does that mean? That means when we in the world we do a mitzvah, or we do a good deed, we do a Kiddush Hashem, we provide light into the world. We ourselves are candles, living candles. Each one of us is a living candle. So we have to make sure, as the Rabbi said, we make sure we fill the world with light. There's the halakha in Shulchan Aruch, in the laws of Even Haezer. It says a person does not involve himself pruvu. I don't want to quote the whole thing, it's very, very tough. It says mema'et hademut. What's mema'et hademut? he lowers the presence of God in this world. Because the more neshamot in this world, the more holiness in this world. Those of us bring neshamot into this world, lessening the power of Hashem in this world. So Ner Elokim, our neshama is a candle. So as we said earlier, we talked about the shul, they talked about Mosifim Meholchim, which is mitzvah of Hanukkah. So too, our neshama has to grow. We have to bring more neshamot into the world. Very important. But what is a miracle? Nes. What is a nes? Literally, what is a nes? We say every day in our tefillah, V'sa, nes. The kabetz.
What's a nes kabetz?
What is a nes? V'sa nes. Lift up the nes. How do you lift up a nes? What is a nes?
Flag.
A flag. A banner. When Hashem does a nes, He's picking up His banner and saying, guys, I'm here. I'm here. That's my nes. A nes means a banner. Today we talk about it as a miracle, but really it's a banner. Raise up your banner. How does Hashem raise up His banner? By doing miracles. So now the question is, what is a miracle? So Rambam says, we're in the Bukhim. He says a miracle is something Yoseh min hateva. And it's based on Mishnah Pirkei Avot. The Mishnah says in Pirkei Avot that Hashem prepared 10 things on Yom Shishi, future miracles. The mouth of Bilam's donkey, right? What else? The earth that opened for Korah. But certain things are prepared. That's Mishnah Pirkei Avot. So Rambam says these things are supernatural. And the supernatural things were prepared before at the time of creation to happen at certain times. However, there's another view, the Ramban and others, and especially the Abetz. The Abetz says miracles happen every day. Nature itself, Ramban says, is a miracle. How do we know? Because the gematria of Elokim is Hateva. Hateva 86, Elokim 86. Hashem works through nature, and that nature is Hashem, Elokim, Hashem Elokim. And that Hashem Elokim is a miracle. That's what we call a miracle. Teva itself is a miracle. Teva itself is directly linked to Hashem. Nature is run by Hashem. Everything we see today in nature, puts on Ramban, Nes. Nes, everything's a Nes. But, however, so what do we call a Nes? So he says, this is the Yavetz, Hacham Tzvi was the father of the Yavetz. He's called Hacham Tzvi, even though he's an Ashkenazi rabbi, because he's the rabbi of Amsterdam. In Amsterdam, they're all Sephardim, and they all call him Hacham Tzvi. So he got the title Hacham Tzvi. He was the head of the Ashkenazi in Amsterdam. So the Sephardim called him Hacham, they Hacham Tzvi. So Hacham Tzvi says, since we get so used to Teva, we don't call it a miracle anymore. If you lived at the time of the desert, 40 years, and you were born and you see the mud falling every day, what would you say? Nes or Teva? Teva. It's not Nes, it's Teva, because I see it every day. If you weren't there around, you come there later on, you come there and see mud is falling, bread is falling from the sky, you'll say, what is this? This is not a Teva, this is a miracle. So what he says is, whatever we see every day, on a daily basis, that we call nature. Really, it's really a miracle. But the fact that we see it so often, we get so used to it, if you see a miracle every day, it's Teva. If you don't see miracles every day, the miracle comes once in a while, that's a Nes. But really, everything's a Nes. There's a great story in the Gemara about Hanuka ben Dosa. You know, just like in medicine, there's specialities, right? This doctor does this, and this doctor does this. You ask a foot doctor about the lungs, he'll say, I don't know. You ask a heart doctor about the head, he'll say, I don't know. Every doctor has different speciality. So too amongst rabbis. People don't know this. Every rabbi is a speciality. Every rabbi is good at certain things. Extra good at certain things. Rav Hanuka ben Dosa was good at tefillah. He was the master of tefillah. How do we know? Since Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's son is sick, what does he do? He tells his servant, go to Hanuka ben Dosa. Rabbi Hanuka ben Dosa will pray for my son. So his wife says, what? He's better than you? You're the chief rabbi. So look, Hanuka is like a janitor. He can go to see the king anytime. I am like his Tsar, the prince. I have to make an appointment. What it really means is, Hanuka ben Dosa had a speciality. And the speciality is learning, making halakha. His speciality is he knew how to pray. So one day his daughter asked Rav Hanuka ben Dosa, Daddy, there's no oil in the house to light the Shabbat candles. They were so poor. Says Chanina Beni, he lives on a cup of harubim. Oh boy, I can't even eat one. Carobs. I can't eat one carob, and he used to live on it. Can you imagine? Baskets full of carobs. And he says, what is there in the house? That we have vinegar in the house. Okay, what's the problem? Hashem who said, the oil with lights. Hashem is the one who says, the vinegar with light. In other words, for Harina Mendoza, a miracle is a teva, and teva is a miracle. What difference does it make? Oil lights, vinegar lights. So with emunah, that even teva is a miracle, it happened. So you put the vinegar and the vinegar light. No problem. So that's the different opinions. There's two opinions, Rambam, Chappaspi. What is a miracle? On Hanukkah, we celebrate the miracle. Now, it's interesting because it's a very big question. We have a general rule. Tumah hutra b'sibur. What does that mean? That means when all the Jews are defiled, you don't have to worry about the laws of purity in the Beit HaMikdash. For Korban Tzibur, not for private Korban, you can't bring in the Beit HaMikdash for Tomei. For Korban Tzibur, you can bring, if you know where the Mizbeach is. Today we don't know where the Mizbeach is even. Who's going to go and build a Mizbeach? They're asking for a big riot over there. Third World War, probably. We're going to leave it to the Mashiach to find out where the Mizbeach, build the Mizbeach, bring back offerings. But technically, if everyone is defiled, like where the Maccabim were defiled, you're allowed to Mahut Tzibur. If you can't find pure oil, what do you use? Tamei oil. Okay, good job. If you can't find pure oil, you just light impure. So why are they looking so carefully for pure oil? What's the big deal? Use the impure oil. And the answer is very important. Because the Greeks did not smash the oil. They didn't pour the oil away. What did they do? We say Ma'usur, v'tim'u et hashemanim. They defiled the oil. The Greeks were smart. They were no fools. By the way, let's talk a little bit about history and then we'll get back to this reminding. So what happened? 323 BCE. That's 3,300 years ago. Alexander the Great. There's the Persian rule from the time of Esther. Persian rule. Do you have time? Persian rule. The Persians are ruling the empire after Shushan Purim. They try and conquer Greece. They built a navy, went to conquer Greece. And the Greeks defeated them, smashed their navy. And instead of the Persians conquering Greece, the Greeks conquered the whole of Persia. Persia ruled the world. They conquered the whole known world except for Greece. So Greece counterattacked, and Alexander the Great, in 13 years, he conquered the whole Persian Empire, which is the whole known world. Imagine 13 years. So Gemara says in Yuma, Samachtet, he gets to Yerushalayim. Who comes to greet him? High priest. Who's the high priest? Shimon HaTzadik. When he sees him, he gets off his horse and he bows down to the high priest. Wow, that's amazing. His generals say, what's going on? You're the conqueror of the world. Why are you bowing down to the high priest? He says, before every battle, I see this man in my dream, and he blesses me. Amazing. So Alexander said, okay, no taxes for the Jews. The Jews can do what they want, they're free. But we had enemies, we always have enemies. They come to Alexander and say, listen, if the Jews love you so much, put a statue of you in the temple, the Beit HaMikdash. So Shimon HaTzadik comes out, he says, come with me to the Beit HaMikdash, I'll show you around. There's special slippers, you're not allowed to wear shoes. Shows him over there. Alexander says, where's all the statues? He says, no, Beit HaMikdash, there's no statues. You know what we'll do for you? We'll name all our sons born this year Alexander. From that time on, Alexander became a Jewish name. What happened was, Alexander the Great dies. Conquers the world, 13 years, whatever it is. 33 years old, he's dead. His kingdom splits in 3 parts, 3 generals. One is in Greece, one is in Syria. The Seleucus, who was the general, took it over. It's called the Seleucid Empire. The one in Egypt is called the Ptolemaic Empire. This Ptolemy was the general who translated the Torah into Greek. And once, the first 100 years, Israel was ruled by the Egyptians. The Egyptian Greeks, Ptolemy. No problem. But they translated the Torah into Greek. So, after 100 years, the Syrian, what happens is Israel is the center of the world. What happens? It's the center of 3 continents. Europe, Asia, and Africa. Center, right? If you want to conquer a part from the other part of the other, you have to go through Israel. Unfortunately, Hashem put us right in the middle of things. Right in the middle. We have to be bang in the middle of history. If you look at, there's a joke, I'll tell you the story. It's a beautiful story. It's a true story. I have to end on this story, but it's a lot to talk about. So we have to come back next Hanukkah. See my mother again. Okay. So the story is that Chinaman moved to New York. True story. And he made friends with a rabbi. He says, Rabbi says, can you help me? I'm having difficulty learning English. So Rabbi said, no problem. Buy the New York Times every morning. I don't advertise that. Don't write that. It's a very anti-Israel paper. Buy some other paper. He said, buy the New York Times, and all the hard words on the front page, come to me and I'll tell you what they mean. So every day he's coming back with the hard words, he doesn't understand, the rabbi explains the words. Then one day he comes to the rabbi and he says, I see every day on the front page of the New York Times, America, Russia, China, and Israel. So tell me, I've never heard of Israel before. So he says, come with me to the map. Where do you think Israel should be? He says, well, here's Russia, China, America. Oh, over here. He points to Canada. Massive country. He said, no, he says, come here. See the Mediterranean Sea? He says, yeah, but where's Israel? The sea that's over there, it says, in the sea it says Israel. He says, yeah, but where's Israel? He said, there's a little strip over there, is Israel. He said, so what's so special about Israel? It's in the news every day, in the front page. He said, well, we have a wall. Oh, the Chinaman gets very excited. He said, we also have a wall. Our wall is 2,000 miles long. How big is your wall? He says, 400 feet. So Israel is special. Israel's in the middle. Hashem wanted to make everything happen in Eretz Israel. The whole world notices what's going on. Because we have the name of Hashem on us. Israel. We have the name of us. Hashem should bless us. To be Yashar El. To walk in the name of Hashem. It's straight. Be straight. And Bezrat Hashem will lights of Hanukkah will bring Mashiach. Amen.